everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Weekend Anderson on the Big Eye Sports Podcast here on USBN Sports. And always, I'm joined by my co-host, Steve Ellis.
Yep.
And Steve, we're really excited for our next guest. Gary Hardewig had a great career at Turpin High School. I think you know a lot about him, but
Yes.
It's going to be great to talk to Gary tonight.
No, I'm really happy Gary's here. He's a good friend of mine, and he was such a really good player. I would have loved to play with him. And I know I've said that about a lot, but especially Gary, mainly because he could score. So as a point guard, I'd love that. But no, he's a really good guy and great family, great dad, and he was a great coach as well. And hopefully one day he gets back into it. But he's been taking some time off to watch his son play.
Yeah, and we'll try to get into his son a little bit later. It was great watching him play this year. So, as we said, joining us is Gary Hardewig. And Gary, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we always kind of get everybody to talk about where you grew up, on what side of Anderson, all that. So talk a little bit. Did you grow up in Anderson? And if you didn't, how did you get here?
Yeah, I did not grow up in Anderson. I actually grew up in St. Bernard, Ohio, which is hometown of Roger Bacon High School.
That's right.
And St. Bernard High School as well. So I lived there till I was a freshman in high school. I went to St. Clement Elementary growing up. Yep. Played for a guy named Rich Durger, brother of Jerry Durger.
No kidding.
Rich Durger was
Didn't know that.
Yep, he was my coach in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade.
Okay.
His son Derek was my age, so that was Jerry's nephew.
So would you have gone to Roger Bacon if you guys?
I did go. I went for 1 year.
Really?
Yeah.
Your freshman year?
Freshman year.
No kidding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Went there freshman year, played freshman basketball, and then my grandparents lived out in Hyde Park. My mom was like, we got to get closer to them. They were getting a little older.
Okay.
My brother had moved off to West Point to go to college, and my other brother had moved out, so it was the perfect time.
Okay.
So we moved out to Anderson, and I had no idea where we were going to school, actually. McNick was brought up. Obviously, we couldn't go to Anderson because you didn't have a choice back then, but we moved there and moved next door to a Turpin female student who was a year older than me, met us, introduced us, me and my brother, to a lot of Turpin people.
That's good.
And it was summer, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Turpin.
So what side was that then? We're at.
I was on the Turpin. I was in Sherwood.
Sherwood. Okay.
Yes, Sherwood.
So was there thoughts of maybe going to McNick?
Absolutely, there was. Yeah.
Okay.
After we knew Jerry, we had some history with Jerry and St. Bernard.
Sure.
So we weren't exactly sure, but it worked out great.
Okay.
It worked out great.
Wow. Okay. All right.
St. Bernard, when I grew up, that's what it was like. It was like Sandlot. That was St. Bernard.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got on your bike and you were gone. You played basketball, football, baseball. There was a swimming pool there.
Yeah.
And it was just, you figured out lunch, came home for dinner.
I mean, kind of like any community, it seems like that's the way it was back in the day.
Yeah. Street lights came on. It was time to get close to home.
That's right. Yeah. That's wow.
So
all right. So growing up, we know obviously you played basketball, but what other sports did you play growing up, or even when you got to Roger Bacon?
Yeah, baseball and soccer I played.
Did you?
Growing up? Didn't really like soccer. I guess I was fast, so they put me at front line. And once everybody caught up to me, I was kind of like, this isn't any fun anymore. I'm not scoring as many goals, and I really don't want to work at this game, so I stopped doing that. And then 7th grade, I played for Friars Club in baseball and basketball, but baseball I played Friars Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were playing our last game. Ball was hit to me at second base. I booted it. Runner came around and scored, and that was the last time I played. That's I'm not doing this anymore.
Wow.
So focused on basketball from there on out, and played 8th grade at St. Clement and Friars Club. Okay. And then went to Roger Bacon and played freshman year there.
Okay, so when you came over to Turpin, was there any thoughts of playing any other sports?
No.
You were done?
Done. Zero.
The glove was put away, the cleats were put away.
Absolutely, yes.
It was
just because you had that air made you just didn't want to play, or you just had the more drive and
I was
basketball?
just I knew that was my last game, last year. It was just, I was kind of bored with it, and I really took to basketball. Rich Durger was a really good middle school coach. He really pushed us hard. Probably not as hard as his brother did, as Wood, but Rich pushed us pretty hard. He was fundamentals. His practices were like Gene Hackman's. We were getting chairs out, and
old school.
And and so I really took to basketball. I'd say probably because of him.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. So let's get into your basketball career at Turpin, and you had some great stats. So did you played 3 years varsity there?
Yes.
Okay. So and you had like close to 800 points.
Yes. Just shy of 800.
Yeah. So you wonder like if you would have played your freshman year, if potentially.
I don't think so, because to be honest with you, I had a rough sophomore year. I had a great off season and a great preseason, and when those lights turned on my sophomore sophomore year, it was like, gosh, these guys were so big and strong, and I was.
Had you not hit a growth spurt yet?
No, I hadn't.
Okay.
You know, and we didn't really lift weights back then.
Right.
We just do now.
Right.
And so I had a rough start. You know, I did start like the first maybe 10, 11 games, and finally Coach Center's like, man, I got to put you on the bench because you're just not getting it done right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think any freshman stats would have done anything more.
So did you play with your brother Adam?
I did.
Okay.
I did later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were like a senior?
A junior.
A junior?
Junior.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Who were some of the other guys you played with?
Some of the guys my year, Sean Dugan, who's a really good soccer player, good athlete.
Yep.
Ron Danielson, who was he went on to college at DePaul University in Indiana, and he had a great college career. And he developed really later. He got really strong and athletic, and loved playing with Ron. I mean, he was a warrior. He was a rebounding machine, great teammate, so positive, and he was one of the reasons we had so many. Me and Adam did a lot of the scoring,
right?
But and he was one of the reasons why we had so much success because he guarded the other team's best player. He rebounded.
Yeah.
Probably sacrificed a little scoring because me and Adam we commanded the ball quite a bit.
So you were open?
Yeah. Back then there was a lot of zone. There was a lot of zone defense.
Right.
It was the 2-2-1 press and back into the 2-3. And, there wasn't a lot of scouting back then.
And both you and your brother could shoot.
Yeah, there was no film. And, I tell my son Brady, who's at Turpin right now, I'm like, if I played when you played now, it's a lot harder to score now. It is a lot harder to score.
Yeah. Definitely in the high school.
Well, I mean, think about that. Not only just the film, but you go on the huddle. You can get it. There's ways to get it, and there's not ways to. I mean, back when we were in high school, we had the reel-to-reel.
The splice. Yeah.
I mean,
so was it your senior year? You guys went pretty far.
No, unfortunately, that was my brother's senior year. I had graduated.
Oh, you had already gone.
Yeah, I'd already gone.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we built that foundation. Our senior year, our team was really, really good. We were 17-5. We lost 2 games.
That's a great year.
It was a great year. We lost 2 games to Forest Park, who had a couple D1 guys.
Right.
We lost, obviously, to Green Hills in the sectional championship. So we lost to some really, really good teams.
You lost to Forest Park and the Green Hills.
Yes.
was Green Hills that wasn't still with Frederick still
No,
there?
he was gone by then. Frederick's our age.
Yeah, he's. Yeah,
I didn't know. I thought he was behind us one.
No, he's our age.
No,
Was he?
yeah.
Yeah, you should know that. Yeah.
I set the bench, Steve.
Okay. So.
Our last regular season game was against Green Hills. It was senior night at Turpin. I think we were 2 in the city. They were 1. This was Division 2.
Yeah.
The place was packed senior night, and we beat them. Got them by 2 or 3 at home.
Really?
And then we turned around and had to play Forest Park in the next round of the tournament. First round of the tournament, we had a bye, so it was a second round, and we beat them for the first time and ended their school basically because that
was their last.
That was our last game.
Right?
That's our claim to fame.
Nice.
I did score 25 that night.
Was that at Anderson?
That was at Anderson. Yes, sir.
That's when the D2 tournament was at Anderson.
And then we played Green Hills in the sectional finals. I mean, the place was electric. I still remember to this day. It was packed. It was
Where's
great.
that at?
At Anderson.
Oh, okay. So the sectional finals.
Still at Anderson.
I thought maybe the sectional finals they had moved on.
Nope, still at Anderson.
Okay.
And it was a great game, classic game. And they ended up beating us by 1. It was kind of it was a tearjerker for sure because I think that team could have made a run because they went all the way down to the Elite 8.
Is that right?
Yes.
So that's one of those coin flips. Flips whoever wins that game.
So I think we could have maybe won at least 1, maybe 2 more as well. And it was I still remember that loss. It was hard. It was a Saturday night, and it was hard. It was tough.
That's what a couple of guys have said. They remember a play or a game.
Yeah.
It still sticks with you.
Yeah.
So I mean, back then though too. I mean, when was basketball Division II? I thought wasn't Turpin always up there in for some reason? I don't know why I was thinking they were always.
No,
they never
we were Division II. I mean, I don't know when it started because, like I said, I moved in, but we were Division II when I was there.
Oh, really?
I don't think Turpin went Division I until I want to say
later,
2004, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Really?
3, 4, 5. Yeah. I think they went Division I. They were Division II all the way up to then.
So I don't want to get off track here, Gary, but Dana and I did a podcast a couple weeks ago and talking about the divisions and the breakdown. It's crazy that only I don't know, I'm just going to say 2/3 of the high schools in Ohio have football teams, but yet there's 5 or 6 divisions. But in basketball, every single high school has basketball, and there's only 4 divisions.
That's stupid.
I'm not a football guy. I've never played football. My son doesn't play football, but I'm guessing it's because of safety. I don't know.
I've been trying to.
They don't want those small schools playing against those bigger schools for safety reasons.
Well,
I don't know.
you can still match up the same level amount of boys per school.
Yeah.
It just give a couple more divisions to make it the same as football.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, not to downplay it, but like for instance, your junior or senior year. I mean, what if you guys would have been D3? Mm-hmm. What difference would that have made?
Oh, I'm sure it would have been huge.
You know, and we've talked about that in football with Anderson and Turpin.
We talked about that. Just with the recruiting thing on it too, with the college or the Catholic schools versus the Turpins and the Andersons. How unfair it is. We think that that they get to get anybody from wherever they want, and we've got to be inside our district. I mean, that's
totally makes a difference.
It's reality, but it's unfair.
What it is.
Yeah.
So Steve said earlier you Coach Center. We know Coach Center very, very well. Talk what it was like playing for Coach Center.
Well, when I came in, he knew I was a good player. He knew I could play, and like I said, I did crack the starting lineup my sophomore year due to some injuries. There were 2 or 3 guys that got hurt, unfortunately, and I kind of cracked the starting lineup. And I had a couple good games. I just really didn't play well, and I know he was frustrated because he's like, I don't want to bench a sophomore or put him down on JV. But he worked it out great, and I did end up playing a couple quarters of JV and then worked my way back into varsity. We had a great player, if you remember, John Futrell. He was an absolute stud. And
wasn't he good soccer too?
Baseball. Yeah, baseball.
Okay.
So he was really good, and I wish I could have done better because he was a great point guard, and I just didn't play well, and it is what it is. But after that year, that's where I made my big strides. My brother and I, and Eric Miller, Ron Danielson, Sean Dugan, we lived in the gym. We went to Turpin every day. Just packed our lunches. That's where we said we're gonna. Craig McLaughlin.
Sure.
If you remember that name.
Oh yeah.
We said we're gonna change this, and we really made strides there. Now I made strides individually, and Adam did, but our team, it just we didn't do as well as I thought we would.
Okay.
I think we were maybe 11 and 12, 12 and 11, something like that. It was right around 500, and it was still kind of, I was like, and then from junior to senior year, it went really well from there.
Right. Yeah.
That's where it really took off.
Okay.
Adam and I grew into our bodies a little bit.
Right.
Played a lot of summer ball.
Okay.
We had Sean Dugan, who was an excellent point guard, soccer player, really good athlete. I talked about Danielson already.
Yeah.
We had some good role players. Mike Petrie, who was a soccer player. And that's where we really took off and really started to play well.
Well, I mean, now that you've coached in the high school level, what was your thoughts on Coach Center and practices and games, and how did he prepare? Because I mean, we never got to play for him. Unfortunately, we had the utmost respect for him. And, we thought that he was going to get the Anderson job at one point in time, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, the one thing I'll say is he let his players play.
Okay.
He basically said, you three, Danielson, Gary, and Adam, you guys have the green light.
Okay.
You guys can kind of, within reason. You're not going to just go out there and gunsling, but you guys can play at your pace. You guys had, it was a freelance offense, open passing game. So we were able to flourish in that style. And Sean Dugan was able to, hand the ball off to the right people, and he let us play.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of, hey, run here, pass it here, hand off here, back cut here. It was, you guys go play. Yeah. And it really, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think a lot of guys would like that.
Yeah, especially if you like to score and you like to, create for yourself.
Right.
And so we flourished in that offense. It was an open passing game. That's what it was. That's what he called it.
That sounds exactly like him.
Yeah.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. So post high school, was there thoughts? Was there any recruitment going on?
Nah, not really. I mean, I always tell people I think I was a really good high school player at Turpin, and that's really it. I mean, I didn't really have much after that. Okay. I did play 1 year at Claremont College for your buddy Philson coach. You guys know very well. Yep. And I had fun. It was a great year. Hit a lot of threes. There was a lot of scouting back then in those games.
Right.
You coach at Claremont, so it's a little different now. But hit a lot of threes. It was a lot of fun. I I played 1 year, and I got it out of my system, so to speak, and I was like, I'm good.
How was the competition back then?
Not very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good.
Didn't you guard a girl or something?
Yeah, I did. Guarded a girl.
There's
I could have played then.
Yeah, you definitely. Well,
yeah. And there was one game, I can't remember who we were playing. It was at Glen Estee.
Yes, I was there. It was.
I think you and Steve might have been doing, or you and Frank might have been doing the game.
Yeah, it was Indiana like East or something like that, and they had a girl on the team.
Yeah,
really.
And Frank says, "I'm not guarding her," and so Gary had to guard her.
That's funny.
But
he shut her down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was lockdown. But I had fun. There was one game where I hit like 6 threes. It was like the highlight of my my college career. It was fun, but then I moved on and finished up.
So let me ask you, Gary, the 3-point line had come in right when you were getting into high school. Is that right? Pretty much?
Yes.
Am I timing that up right? So
86, 87, I think it was.
Yeah, so how much did that change for you or the game for you around then?
Well, it opened it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
The post play was, we didn't have any post players back then.
Yeah.
You know, Ron Danielson was 6'5", 6'6", but he was not going to go into that post.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't his strength. He was, freelancing out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
But my claim to fame, I don't know why this was, but my junior year, like I said, we were 500, a little over 500. I led the city in free throws attempted.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a weird stat, but it was it was always in the Inquirer and the Post.
Right.
Cincinnati Inquirer, Cincinnati Post.
Oh yeah.
There was always those stats.
Yeah.
And there was a kid in Kentucky, I think, who might have got me by a few shots, but in city Cincinnati,
right.
I led the city in free throws.
What was that from? From driving to the basket?
Driving to the basket.
Or?
My dad always told me, he was like, the 3-point shot, it's a low percentage shot. Just shoot it when you're open. He always told me, get to that paint.
Yeah.
You get to that paint, you can be dangerous. He always told me that.
Yeah.
Get to that paint, and I got to that paint a lot and shot a lot of free throws, and that's where a lot of my scoring came from. So I think sophomore year I averaged maybe 2 or 3 points a game, and then junior year it went up to 16, a little over 16.
That's
I credit
awesome.
to those free throws, just knocking them down, and I think I shot 83, 84%.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
I don't doubt it.
I think what it did is the 3-point line kind of opened up that drive, because they had to go out and guard you out there.
Absolutely.
No threes, and then you go by and you get to the rim or get to the paint, and then, like my dad said, always good things always happen.
Absolutely. So Steve and I got to experience, obviously, the Turpin-Anderson rivalry, and it was pretty awesome. Steve and I have talked about we're getting ready for the Turpin game where we're throwing stuff in the locker. Talk a little bit about that. I'm sure it's probably the same experience for you too.
Yes. 5-1 against Anderson.
Had to throw that in.
Yeah, 5-1.
Had to throw that in.
Think about it.
5-1.
He knew that right off the top, man.
Mike Shingleton ruined my perfect career. He's 6-0. He hit a buzzer shot at Anderson my junior year.
Is that right?
To beat us.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a good soccer player too.
Oh yeah,
Mike was.
Yeah.
5-1. Always geeked up for that game. We always had. I'm sure Anderson did too. We always had a pep rally before that game.
Yeah.
Things going on in the school, and so it was so much fun. Sophomore year I really didn't contribute a whole lot, but we did win. And then my junior year, we were playing a 2-3 zone. It was the end of the second quarter. They were running for the last shot, taking the last shot. Well, I got this steal with like 2 seconds to go. I took one dribble and launched it from just behind half court, and it went in.
Nice.
Place is packed, so I'm circling the gym like we won the game. We won. It was just halftime. Yeah. So I go in there, I'm exhausted, and Coach Center was like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just need a breath."
That's awesome.
But we ended up winning that game,
but how cool is that?
Yeah, it was really cool. I'll never forget that. That shot was really neat. Stole it on the right side, right in front of our bench. Took one dribble and put it in.
But win or lose, obviously you won.
Yeah,
just playing in that atmosphere.
It's awesome.
It's just always so hot in the gym. It's just crazy, and the fans on both sides are just so crazy.
Yes.
I mean, it's.
Would you say it's the Anderson Turpin is more than the Turpin McNick?
Yes.
That's
without
what
a doubt.
Too.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I agree.
I mean, years before we played, it was Anderson McNick. Obviously, at some point, Turpin wasn't around.
Yes.
But since then, I mean, like when we were in high school, it was always
Anderson Turpin. It was Turpin all the way.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. For me, because I moved in, so I didn't.
Right.
For me, the Turpin McNick, I I don't want to use the word hate. I didn't like McNick.
Okay.
I just didn't care for him.
Yeah.
Whereas the Anderson guys, I knew a lot of the Anderson guys.
Okay.
I hung around with a lot of the Anderson guys.
Sure.
And that's not that I didn't like the McNick guys. It's just I'm not going to lose to McNick. And
Right.
we didn't beat them sophomore year. We didn't beat them junior year. And that's when we played them twice. We played them twice.
Okay. Yeah.
And then my senior year, we were able to get them both times.
Okay.
So I did finish out with that. But the Anderson-Turpin game, I mean, the place was packed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now the last 2 years, because my son's at Turpin, they've been on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, they're better on the weekends.
God, why, I
so
don't
much better on the
understand
weekends.
why
Isn't that
they don't-
crazy?
They should be on
I mean, a Friday night, and it was just, yes.
How does the league not understand?
It should
know.
always be on a Friday night.
Always
no matter what.
Well, now that we're somewhat back to normal, maybe next year.
Yeah.
we'll
I mean,
that
it should
way.
be
Well,
Friday.
you know, I don't have this on the thing, but I wanted to ask your opinion and what you thought about this too. Like, I've noticed during the Anderson Turpin football games, when I'm there before the football games and I'm getting ready, right?
Yep.
And I feel that the parents are worse than the kids because the kids go to Nagel, they're together.
Yep.
Anderson Turpin, they get together and they're hugging each other and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like the parents get a little bit more raw emotion, I guess, than the
Yeah.
kids. So, do you think that because they're at one school that the rivalry is? I mean, I still think it's
more friendly.
I think it's intense, but it's not like it was before Nagel was built. Do you agree with that?
I would, because like I said, Brady's friends with a lot of those guys over there
Right.
because he went to Nagel with them or
Right.
whatever. So I can't speak for that because I didn't go to. Nagel wasn't around when I was there. Yeah, I'd say it's more of a friendly rival. You don't want to lose. I know my son's played in the last 4 games sophomore year and junior year, and
Right.
he gets. It's just you play
something-
different.
yeah,
you just
no
play
doubt about
different.
it.
And it's something.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, how come you can't do that every game? Well, if you've been part of a rivalry,
Yeah.
Exactly.
you just can't
Totally agree.
You just can't do it. It's Anderson Turpin night. It's just different.
I can remember. Now this is going to sound really dumb, but I can remember just in pregame. What are you laughing at? But I can remember in pregame. I think I got up like 6 inches higher, like on the layup line. Just because you're so fired up.
So he was able to touch the net that night.
No.
So
Not
I got
close. Not close.
I got the glass. Come on, man.
The rubber. He got the rubber below the glass.
I hit my head on it.
No, I mean, just so thinking about that though, that was my own. I didn't play much, and that was the only start that I had was my senior year against Turpin. So
Yep.
Oh, senior
you
night.
talk about nervous just because it's my first start.
Yeah.
But then it's Turpin,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't help me. He's getting me all so geeked up and amped up that I thought I was going to puke 5 times before I even went out on the
Yeah,
court.
he was worn out before the.
Yeah, I was. I was so. But it's just that and just and then to hear the crowd. I mean, literally down in the locker room, you could hear the crowd just screaming and yelling and just like it's intense. But
There's
I mean,
nothing like
have you ever thought, both you guys? I know you and I have talked about it before.
Yeah.
That if Anderson and Turpin never split, what that school would be like in athletic wise now.
Well,
I mean, to me, it would be phenomenal. It would be unbelievable.
it would be unbelievable, and over the course of since Turpin and Anderson split, they've switched so many different leagues.
That's true. Yeah.
So the original league before they split, which was the Hamilton County League, which was all the big boys,
Right.
the Coleraines,
Mount Healthy.
Mount Healthy's, Oak Hills, big time schools. Not to downplay the schedule now,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, if you combine them now, playing with the schedule they have now, they do very well.
Well, if they merged, if it ever happened, I don't,
Right.
But they'd have to get a bigger conference. I mean,
absolutely.
GMC or something like that.
Well, and as you know, Gary, it seems like every 4 or 5 years, everybody's switching conferences anyway.
Yeah.
And some of that is schools get bigger. Like Loveland. I mean, they were originally in the Eastern Hills League.
Yeah.
With some of these really small schools.
Well, Mason used to be really small.
And Indian Hill. Yeah.
Mason used to be really, really small back in the day.
They're still building houses out there.
Yeah. I would think they were probably going to have another high school out there
Yeah,
at some point.
I heard that Lakota's thinking about building another high school out there. Yeah, it's just that crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
So let's get into your son. It was really exciting to watch him play. He's kind of following in your footsteps. Had a great career at Turpin. Talk about that experience as you've been through all that experience with that, but talk about it as a dad to be through that, to watch your son play.
Yeah, it's awesome. I gotta tell you, it's awesome. I mean, I coached him from time he played, 3 or 4 years old, wherever he was. I was Craig Mazzaro's assistant at Amelia, and Brady would come to practices, and if you guys know Maz, he was pretty strict, and it was everything was regimented, and he wanted anything going on in the gym. I'm like, Brady, if you dribble the ball, make sure you dribble it when we're playing. When Coach Maz is talking, that's it. You hold that ball, man. So, but he grew up with it at a very young age. I think his biggest strength from all that is he's got a really high basketball IQ. He just has that IQ. He's been around the game. He's been in our huddles. I mean, he was always there. He was just always there. Brady was just always there. So I coached him all the way up to 5th grade doing the city league, the Southwest Ohio City League, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th grade he went to stayed at Nagel, but played at IHM with some really good players. Had some really good coaches there. Dave Caldwell, you guys know, coach at Marymount now, and then Jeff Weber, who his son goes to St. X. He coached him, and Brady was he was taught the right way. He was taught the right way how to play. So it's just been a joy to watch. And so when he went to Turpin, I said, what are some of your goals when you go to Turpin? He said, well,
beat Anderson.
Well, I said, what are your goals? Like, what are your goals? He said, well, I want to win a sectional championship. And I told him, I said, that's a great goal. But I said, that's never, ever been done before at Turpin at the Division I level.
Right.
It's been done Division II.
Sure.
But it's never been done at Division I level. So he's a little freshman. He's like, I got it. I'm like, okay. So second goal. What's your second goal? I want to win the league. Okay, that's doable. And we checked that. Sophomore year, we won the league. And then he said, third thing is individually, I want to be 1,000-point scorer. So I said, well, that's on you. You got to that's doable. And he's close. He should get it next year.
How many does he have?
He's got like 680, 690, something like that. Okay. So he's he's right there.
Right.
So, but I think the biggest one was the sectional championship. I mean, to beat Elder.
I was just getting ready to ask you about that. How cool was that shot? I mean, that was
number
really cool.
one seed. We beaten them 4 times in a row. This was the 5th. I was like, there's no way we're going to beat them again. There's just no way. And I don't know if it's our confidence level against them or how we prepare for them. But I guess. And, but we were down at half, 28-19, and Brady was kind of struggling, couldn't get going, and then all of a sudden
lit it up in that second half.
He just lit it up, and just hit some tough shots.
That from deep.
That the coaches are probably like, well, he's got to shoot him because we're behind. But then to make that miracle shot,
that's awesome.
It was definitely a proud dad moment. Mom, I'm sure just feels the same way.
Did you fall off the bleachers or anything?
I let him have his moment. Let him have his moment.
Like I would have been jumping and falling or something.
I got to be honest with you. I was there, Danny, and obviously loving watching the game, and then knowing Gary as well as I do, and watching his son play. And I didn't get to see him play as much. Got to see him play against Anderson, and then I was there for this game. And and this sounds corny, but there's nothing better than to watch the joy of a parent enjoying the success of their kid.
Absolutely. And doing it in the uniform that I wore.
And not only that, doubling down at the school that he went to.
Absolutely.
And the honors that Gary already achieved.
I'd have been bawling like a baby.
And when Brady hit that, and the place literally turned upside down, and all I did was stare at Gary. and I know it sounds like a stalker, but I was just so proud and happy for Gary and for Libby and for Abby. Because such supporters, and what a great moment.
Right, absolutely.
For you, obviously for Brady.
Yes.
But for you and Libby, and I just, I couldn't even cheer. I was just staring at Gary because I was just feeling it for Gary. It was just awesome. Gary.
It's funny, just that too, and then just like when I saw it on social media, my reaction was like I was like just watching it. It was incredible. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, needless to say, Libby and I we didn't buy a drink down at ATP that night. Our barbell was zero.
I remember I texted you to make sure you were out somewhere.
Yeah, so I may owe Brady like, I don't know, $70-80 for
that. No, that's incredible. All right, so Brady is obviously on his way to having a great senior year, and then who knows, where that's going to take him from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, his goal is to play in college.
Yeah.
At some level, obviously a scholarship would be awesome.
Be nice, yeah.
He's working towards that. I mean, he's doing everything he needs to do. He's playing for a good AAU coach, Mike Price, over at Oak Hills. I've gotten to know Mike within the last month or so. He's a great guy.
Sure, he is.
Loves kids, loves basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, he puts his heart and soul into that program with Shining Star.
He's been there forever.
For Beecham.
Yeah.
And he works out at ASAP, which is agility and body work and jumping and all that stuff. And obviously, he trains with a really good guy over in Kentucky, Larry Davis, who was Mick Cronin's head assistant at UC. Trains with him. Yeah. So we've got him in the right places, and just making sure he's taking care of his body and doing right, and still enjoying it. Still enjoying it.
And being a high school kid.
Exactly.
And that's the thing I always tell him. Like I was a very social kid. I'm sure you guys were in high school as well. And I love my sports, and I got my work in. But I was social. I wanted to go out with my friends. I wanted. He's got prom coming up. I wanted to go to prom. You wanted to go to spring break with your friends. You wanted to go to Skyline after games. And
I think that's great that you said that, to enjoy your high school career. Don't some kids don't do that. They take it too serious. That's awesome you said that.
And the one thing that we'll never understand, because it wasn't around then, was cell phones. And I mean, the good and bad.
Yes.
But just the social, media part of it, and just to be able to see everything. I mean, obviously Brady's shot against Elder was on every news channel, but it was also on every social media.
Absolutely.
And everybody saw,
within a matter of minutes.
Yes. Within a matter of minutes. Right. Right. Instant fame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, people will be talking about that for years.
Yeah, I was just happy for Coach Sloanham too. I mean, I think he's in his 5th year, and they've kind of gotten progressively better each year.
Yeah.
When he started out, he was I think 5-18.
Okay.
He's rebuilding with my nephew Jackson Holt. Rebuilding with him, and then he kind of built it up to an 18-win season. Then he got a 20-win season, and then last year we had the COVID year, so we didn't get as many games in.
Right.
We were on pace to win probably 17 or 18. We only got 20 games in, I think. 21 games.
Yeah.
So 14 wins, and this year to get 20 more wins. So
that's awesome.
He wore the jersey too. He was part of a Division II.
He played at Turpin.
He was part of the Division II sectional championship back in 05, I believe. 04 or 05.
He graduated in 05.
Okay, it might have been 04 when they got it. It was either one of those years. But he puts his heart and soul into the program. He wore the jersey as well.
Yep.
And Brady really has built a really good relationship with Coach Sloanham. And
that matters.
Yeah, it does. Brady came in as a freshman. He's kind of quiet. Kids are quiet. And I don't know that Josh knew how to read him. He said he doesn't talk much. But Brady's kind of they built a really good bond, and I think they trust each other. And we're looking forward to a good senior year for Turpin. And
that's awesome.
Whatever else.
Well, let's talk about your coaching career.
Yeah.
All right. So you got done playing the 1 year at Claremont.
Yeah.
When and where did you get started coaching?
Got started at Reading Junior High.
Really?
For a guy named Rich Bensman.
Sure.
Yeah. So I ran into Rich somewhere, and he said, I need a 7th grade basketball coach. And I said, I've never coached before. I played. And he's like,
how old are you at this point?
20.
Okay.
Wow.
20.
Wow.
Yeah. I was young. So I'm driving over to Reading every day, which is not around the corner.
Right.
But I was like, what? I enjoyed it. I can't remember the guy's name, the 8th grade coach. He was a social studies teacher there. He was a really nice guy. I can't remember his name. We practiced together a lot, so I learned a lot from him. Still didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
But the drive kind of got old, and I was like, what do I do? And then I ran into Frank Brandy at the Beachmont Racquetball Club.
Okay.
And he said, hey, you going back to Reading? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, I got a 7th grade job for you at Anderson if you want it.
Okay.
I said, deal. I got it.
A little closer.
Yeah, a little closer. So I started coaching with him, and I'll never forget, when I was 7th grade coach, he said, I have a mailbox at Anderson. He's like, I need you to make your weekly practice plans and then put them in my mailbox every Friday.
Okay.
Can you do that? And I said, absolutely, I will. And every Friday I had I mapped out my practice schedule, because I was studying to be a teacher, so I kind of lesson plans, practice plans are all kind of the same. So I'm like, I got this. I put him in his mailbox every Friday. I met with him at the end of the season. He said, "You didn't miss a week." I said, "No, you told me to do a week." He goes, "Well, I got an opening as a JV coach. It's yours if you want it." And I was like, oh.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I went from 7th grade, just to JV, just like that. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
So when was that? When were you coaching JV?
90. I did it 2 years. 95, 96, 96, 97.
So you missed Timmy then, right?
Yeah.
My brother.
No, 96.
My brother.
Yeah.
What was he? 90.
Timmy was
95. Graduated in 95.
Timmy was like Frank's first year, I think, right?
Yeah. It was Frank's first year.
I coached kids. Nick Andrews. Remember Nick Andrews?
Sure.
I coached Nick.
Yep.
Brian Hart, a kid named Brian Hart, lefty.
Yeah.
Yep. Coached him. So those were my 2 years with them.
Okay.
And then it was great. I really enjoyed my time with Frank and learned a lot from him. I sat on the bench with him.
Right.
And, so I learned a lot from him. And then I graduated from college, and there was a teaching job available at Amelia Middle School. And I'm like, well, I got to go for that. It's right around the corner. So applied for it and got an interview, and I got hired by the principal. So I told Frank, I was like, hey, I got this teaching job at Amelia. I'd really like to coach there because I teach there. And he's like, consider it. I'll help you out any way I can. So Frank got on the phone right away. He called Craig Mazzaro and said, hey, I got a great JV coach. He works hard. He's young. And so I met with Maz in the summer, and he hired me as his freshman coach.
Wow.
At Amelia. That was summer of 98. Summer of 98.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And how long were you with Maz?
I was with Maz from 98 until I left in 2012. 2012.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That long?
Yep.
Wow.
2012, 13, somewhere right around there. Brady was maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, and I said, that's enough.
Well, you guys were a great mix. I mean, you guys were kind of two peas in a pod.
Right.
And, great teams.
I could be wrong. I'm not sure about this. Didn't you coach my nephew? Didn't you coach Daniel?
No.
Daniel
Hennessy? In something. I thought you coached Yeah, that's what I thought.
I did.
Yeah, you coached Daniel Hennessy.
Oh, when you went back and you coached...
When I was at Amelia.
Yeah.
Because you dropped back down.
I did. I dropped back down because it's just the weekends, Brady's games were on Saturday. We had film, scouting, and it just got to be too much. And I said, man, I still want to be part of your program.
Yeah.
I just can't do the varsity stuff.
Okay.
So I dropped down. I did 8th grade.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I coached your...
Daniel.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I remember going to a game, and I swear I thought he was the coach.
Yeah.
And I was telling Dan, that's so funny.
So I guess I was Maz's assistant. I mean, I still think if you're 7th and 8th grade, you're still part of the assistant process.
Yeah,
and I was his right-hand man through like 2009, 9 or 10, and then I did 3-4 years in junior high.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's right, Daniel.
Some good battles back then.
Yeah. We had some great battles with Anderson. They had Patswald and the Norwells.
Yes.
And, I don't know that we ever beat them with those guys, but we gave them all they could handle.
Absolutely.
And we fought tooth and nail.
You know who I loved in that group in that era was Joe Smith.
Oh, yeah. Joe was
major league pitcher, but boy, he was a bitch in basketball.
I tell you, he was an absolute warrior in practice.
I bet he was.
I mean, that guy.
I bet he was.
If you let your guard down and weren't practicing hard or whatever, Maz didn't have to get on you because Joe took care of that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
Joe was a hard-nosed kid, man. I'm not surprised he's doing what he's doing at all, just because he was such a hard-nosed kid. And
I think his mom was a teacher, wasn't she? At Willowville, or
she was, and she actually taught with me at Amelia Middle School.
Oh, did she?
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, she has passed. Yes, but she was a wonderful lady, a great teacher at the middle school.
I remember her.
So how many years you been there now, teaching?
I'll finish up my 24th.
Wow,
here
how
in
about
May.
that?
24th.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I got the gray hair to prove it. All those kids.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So 24th year.
So what do you teach? What is it at the middle school, right?
Yeah,
so
middle school.
6th, 7th, and 8th?
Yeah, but we've separated now. So 7th, 8th grade separate.
Okay.
6th grade. So I'm in the 6th grade building.
How are you?
Yep.
Okay.
And I teach all 6th grade PE.
All right.
So, everybody's like, oh, teaching's hard. Kids are different. I'm like, yeah, but I'm 6th grade PE. Like, I'm a rock star. I have lunch duty, and the kids are like, what are we doing today? What are we doing next week? I got to calm them down a little bit.
They probably love that.
Yeah, they 6th graders still love, playing and running around, and so
that's awesome.
I got a good gig. I got a good
absolutely.
gig.
So let's talk a little bit more about your family. We talked about Brady.
Yep.
Your daughter Abby.
Oh, Abby. There's an Abby?
There is an Abby. I will be the first one to bring that up. So you got Abby, who was a great swimmer.
Yeah, great swimmer at Turpin.
Yep.
It's funny. She went out for the freshman volleyball team, and she put her heart and soul into it. And I was very disappointed she didn't make it, but it worked out great because she did make it. And she's like, you know what, Mom, Dad, I think I'm going to play lacrosse.
Okay.
We know nothing about lacrosse.
Right.
I'm like, that's great. Yeah. And darn it, she didn't play all four. Well, she played 3 years because her junior year was the COVID.
Right.
So she played. She played 3 out of the 4. Started her senior year. Was a captain.
Great.
At Turpin, and it was a lot of fun watching her compete out there. I don't know much about
I don't
lacrosse.
either.
I would hear the coach, "Great job, Abby," and I'd be like, "Go Abby!" What's going on?
Was that good?
Right. Was that good? In swimming, I mean, you're at these meets. I don't know if you guys have swimmers, but
I swim like a rock. So
you're at these meets for 4, 5, 6 hours, and they maybe swim for 5-6 minutes total.
Ooh, that's dedication right there.
It's a long day.
When my wife Libby would always be like, "Hey, she's getting ready to swim in like 5 minutes, so you better be." You don't want to miss that because you're there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So, you watch those. The summer swims were great. We belong to Anderson and Swim Club.
Yeah.
And they have swim meets on Thursday nights, and those were a lot of fun.
Yeah. I bet.
They're outside. It's nice weather.
They were fun back in the day too. I mean, they always were fun.
They were. And I'll miss those actually because she's gone on to college now. But those were always fun.
At least a social aspect.
Yes. The weekends getting up at 6 and getting her in the pool at 6:30. It was like, But yeah, she loved it, and she doesn't do it anymore. Obviously, she's done swimming now. So.
And then you have a good story about after moving here and going to college, and then you eventually met your wife, Libby, who was back from the old neighborhood.
Back from the old neighborhood, yeah. So we knew each other. Obviously, she was a couple years older than me at Roger Bacon, and her sister Katie was actually a year behind me, and actually went out with my brother, in 5th, 6th grade.
Wow, it's like a TV show.
Yeah, so we all that's what it was at St. Bernard. Everybody knew everybody. Thank God our kids are normal because Libby and I aren't related at all. So no, we met out at a bar one night. We started talking. We already knew each other. It wasn't like how's your mom and dad? How's your mom and dad?
So it wasn't like you didn't recognize her.
No, I knew it. And her cousins were actually really good friends of mine. Gary and Paul Schildmeyer, they're brothers, and they were really good friends of mine from back in the day. We all started talking, and we went out one night, and it was we were older, so we were 28. I think I was 20, 27, 28. She was 29, 30, whatever it was. And we were engaged.
Yeah,
we didn't date long. We got engaged, and things moved pretty quickly. And
Libby's awesome.
Yeah,
Libby's great, and as we talk about all the time, I mean, just the backbone of the family.
Yeah, she's definitely my better half. She, she definitely keeps me in check, and there's a lot of times where I need to be kept in check sometimes. With just the intensity of the basketball and so forth.
So before we wind this up, Danny, I just got a small question for you.
Yes, sir.
When we talk about the Anderson-Turpin rivalry, how does that compare to the ping pong nights that we had?
Ping pong nights.
because the reality is this, Danny, is that Gary came in as a novice, not very good ping pong player.
That's true. That's true.
And he learned from the teacher, and then he beat the teacher like no other. It got to a point where I couldn't beat him. No. Am I right?
That is correct. And I came in, I was so bad. I just was bad, and I would just
I loved kicking his ass.
Yeah. I just got whipped, and I finally, I got better, and then there was so much trash talking.
Sweat, a lot of sweat.
Oh yeah,
sweat. We had this
beer cans all over the place.
No. This was serious.
Yeah.
No, actually, our games were sanctioned. There was actually no drinking allowed during the game. If you were drinking, they weren't sanctioned games. They didn't count.
If we play games like at 1 o'clock in the morning, if they're going out, it didn't count.
It didn't count.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Do we have a tally somewhere, like an actual score sheet of
it
what
got
the total
so
was?
bad, Danny, we stopped keeping score. It got so bad.
We had so much fun.
So he would.
So much fun.
I played a lot of defense at the beginning. He would just wail on this ball.
Oh,
I mean, he just went giant. He just went wailing on this ball, man. And I would sit there and I would be blocking it, and I'd be like, hit it harder, and I'd just be blocking it, and then finally I'd get my shot. But no, we had some great battles. Those were fun.
You know what? I wish social media was
fun
back
times.
in the day. Then I would have loved to seen some videos from those games.
Yeah, it was fun. No, we had a good time.
They were,
great,
yeah, they
to say
were
the least.
Yeah, yeah. Wore out that ping pong table.
Yes, we did.
Oh, that's funny. So let's get into. We're trying to wrap this up and get into some of the things we always do at the end of these things. Is your favorite high school memory, college, and then maybe like a favorite teacher or coach. So give me a favorite high school memory.
I think my favorite high school memory is hitting that half-court shot against Anderson.
And you did circles around the
I did
gym?
circles. I don't know
where
were you going. No, I don't think it was. I don't know where I was going. I just did circles.
That's awesome.
Made my way to the locker room. I think that was probably my best moment in sports. It was fun. It was. I remember that night, and if we were to beat Green Hills and went on to the districts, that probably would have did it, but it didn't happen. So I'd say that's probably my greatest high school. And then with buddies, just going on spring break my senior year with those guys. I had really good. I still keep in touch with 7 or 8, 9 of those guys.
That's great.
Yeah, so we went on spring break senior year, and that was a great memory. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we had the beach box down the beach, and that was a great week.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
that was one. Yeah, for sure.
So what about like anything with teacher wise, or any favorite teacher or coach? Or
Well, I mean, I'd have to say that Frank Brandy's probably one of my favorite coaches, just because what he did for me. Right. You know what I mean? He went out on a limb. He called Craig Mazzaro and went to bat for me.
Yeah.
And I was young, just out of college and first teaching job. He went to bat for me, and so I always appreciate that, because I think I got my start just because of him. I mean, Benson started with the coaching, but moving on my career, I think Frank was a huge part of that. And then Maz and I mean, like we had 2 peas in a pod. I mean, it was we worked so well together. I mean, he fired me one night because I messed up a book. I put the wrong person in the book, didn't put somebody in the book, and he fired me. And we win the game, and then we're going to the bus. He's like, "I'll see you at practice tomorrow. You're back." We just got along so great. And he was obviously, you guys saw him coach. He was a great coach, but he was a great teacher too. I mean, he took teaching very serious, and he was a really good teacher. He actually still subs now in our building to this day.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I'd say those two are definitely 2 of my top. And then Dan Bartholomew, who you guys know. I mean, you guys probably had him in class. I never had him in class.
Great
but
guy.
He was Frank's assistant for those years I was there. I still keep in touch with him. I see him at Brady's games or other high school games. So I'd say those 3. Gail Mondrell. You guys remember Gail Mondrell?
Yep.
She taught phys ed at Turpin. I did my student teaching under her.
That's right.
At Turpin.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
So I'd say she was a huge influence on me. Well, those are probably my top 4 if I had to pick 4.
That's pretty good.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good group right there.
That's a tree there.
Yeah, it is. But man, this has been awesome, Gary. I really appreciate it.
And some good memories.
We're really excited. We can watch Brady again and see what he does. And maybe we'll get him on here now. Get him on a podcast.
It's funny. He told me, he said, the only reason they want you, Dad, is because of what I did, hit that shot. He goes, I hit that shot. Now they want to talk to you. I'm like,
that's funny.
Probably true.
You would probably say that if it was the other way around.
Exactly.
That's great. So we really appreciate Gary Hardewig joining us. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Gary Hardewig, you've been watching This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you next week.